Hey, we are in Ohio. We're going to be doing the canal towpath. We're going to start here in Cleveland and we're going to head towards Akron. There's a 27-mile stretch where you can catch a train back, so hopefully we're hoping to do some of that. So a little adventure that's a little bit different than normal, not backpacking, but we want to take a little bit of a bike trip. 27-mile stretch we'll go to, and then we'll see how far past that we decide to go. But we have to be at the train station by at least 2:30 if we want to ride the train back, which we kind of want to do because I've never done it before. It's kind of cool. And we're off. And so we're about to get going here. But if you've ever visited Cuyahoga Valley National Park in Ohio, you'll notice right away it's a different kind of park. It's not as, to me at least, even though it covers 33,000 acres or so, you'll notice that it's not as connected as other parks. They're almost like there's Cleveland and Akron. It sits between them. And so it's one of the more city-based, to me, that I've been to, national parks that I've seen. So it's no less pretty, but the towpath that we're cycling on is pretty good. If you were to bring a road bike, I think you could do it, but it wouldn't be as comfortable as the gravel bikes that we're riding. Or a hybrid, or even a mountain bike. One thing we saw a ton of were people riding e-bikes. I actually wanted to start counting just because of how many people sometimes were blowing past us on the trail, and you realize they weren't pedaling as fast as they were actually going, or they had a huge battery on their bike. But there's a ton of reconstructed locks like this one across the entire park. And we'll cycle past them. They were kind of used to raise or lower the boats or level of water. And so those are kind of neat to see. This feels good. So we crossed a ton of these little bridges, and it's actually interesting to see the different engineering of each bridge and how they kind of created to cover the different spans they had to do. You see on the left, we saw a ton of wildlife, usually, of course, the usual suspects, squirrels, chipmunks, a lot of turtles, a lot of herons, and so that was kind of neat to see. How the wetlands are kind of being restored in this area. Now, if you do visit, you'll notice that there are a bunch of people running and walking and cycling on the towpath. And that's because this national park kind of surprised me when I looked up the numbers, but they were number 7 across the country in the most visited national parks in 2020, and so that continues. The last 5 or 6 years or so, they've had over 2 million visitors every year, and so it's kind of cool to see that people are using these parks, and it's free to enter. Unfortunately, there's no camping within the park. You have to use one of the metro parks, but people are taking advantage of our natural beauty. Take a short water break. Only gone like 6 miles or so. Mm-hmm. Josh's bike, Specialized Diverge. My bike, Salsa Journeyman. And my father-in-law's bike, the Trek Hybrid.
Your dog's adorable.
Cool, huh? I already mentioned these bridges, but it's really neat, and it's a completely different perspective seeing these huge overpasses that we're riding under, and there were several of them along the towpath. When I was doing some research, this area was actually called Cuyahoga because that's what Native Americans called it, and it means Crooked River. You'll probably notice a change in kind of the landscape. And so when we first started, it was pretty open. Actually reminded me of being more in Northwest Ohio, pretty flat, pretty open spaces. But as you see, the towpath becomes more wooded. And in some sections, it does feel like you're going through the woods, which is kind of a neat feeling. And you'll see we crossed lots of little towns. Occasionally, you've seen maybe an area that we crossed a street or a road. The best place to stop for lunch, I'll show you up ahead, and it's in Peninsula. And that was a perfect spot, I think, to stop. It's about halfway if you do this 27-mile stretch. And we got there around 12:15 or so. But this area is gorgeous. I think it's pretty to cycle through. I think it'd be almost even better in the fall. It's kind of cool. Thanks. On your left. On your left. As you saw, you have to be a little careful with people. They're not always the most aware of what's going on, and so since I'm riding, it's my responsibility to kind of make sure they know I'm there. Echo. We actually just passed the bike kind of off ramp towards Peninsula. If you're doing this trail, like I mentioned before, Peninsula is pretty much the town you want to stop in. They seem like they had the most restaurant options and options for any entertainment you want to do. There's also a train stop there if you decide you want to. There are actually multiple train stops along the way. If you decide you wanted to stop, Peninsula is a great option. I actually, unfortunately, didn't take much footage of eating in the restaurant at Peninsula. I just was out of the habit being on a bike rather than walking. But what happened is the second half of our ride was like this. It got really wet, and so the GoPro kind of got smeared by water droplets everywhere. We slowed way down, meaning we were going to about 12 miles per hour, maybe 13 at times, and we slowed down to about 9. The rain was kind of in our face. We had to be really careful on all these wooden boardwalks and bridges because they were really slick with water, and we were just kind of more taking our time. But also, you know, it's just like backpacking. You will slow down if you have a downpour of rain. With cycling, it's pretty much the same. What we ended up doing is we went past Botsum, but I'll explain here later. We actually came up on this. And I'll clear up in a moment as I switch the phone footage, and you'll see what we saw. All right, we got this obstacle on our path, but we decided to go to Botsum for the train because I think we have about 6 miles or so left. It's 2:36. We ate a fairly long lunch apparently, and we are going to turn back around from this spot. We went past Botsum and come back because the train gets to Akron at 3 o'clock, and so we wanted to not cut it so close. So we're gonna double back and head to the Botsum station. So you heard me, we ended up doing 23 miles total for the day. The reasoning for that was we were going to do 27 or 28 to make it to the Akron station. That ended up not happening. But we actually went past the Botsam station, so we're doubling back. We got to Botsam, I think, around 2:30, and then we realized we're just going to be cutting a little too close for us. So what we ended up doing is going past just to explore. We came across that down branch, and we thought, you know what? It's a sign. Let's turn back around, make it in enough time for the train. In case you're wondering, the guy in the Prius did wave me on. I just had to glance to my left, and it was clear. Gave him the thumbs up, and we're good to go. We're waiting for the train. It comes at 3:20. I don't want to film because there's lots of people around now waiting for the train, other cyclists. But yeah, good day. I think we did a total of 23 miles today. I'm glad we didn't try to book it. We would have gotten there as the train was supposed to be leaving. You're supposed to arrive a little early. So I think stopping here was the right move. But this is the depot and what it looks like.
Hey, you're missing Lisa. I've pretty much found what works for me, and I feel bad that I don't really gain weight.
I would have trust her.
I don't want him to just ride past us.
I see you, for Pete's sake. Stop jumping up.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they just blew right past. It's like a bus that's on the tracks. Pretty much.
It's what it feels.
Yeah, it does. Oh gosh. And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me, guys. And until next time, peace.